Hi, welcome back to my table. In this video we won't be making anything. I'm just going to give you an overview of the tools I use when I'm working with aluminum, the aluminum wire. As you notice in my videos, I mainly use the 12 gauge wire, aluminum, and then I wrap it with the 24 gauge copper. This is how I get my wire. Usually get it in bulk, the gold and the silver. You don't have to change cutters. These will go through the aluminum like a hot knife through butter. But I just use flush cutters, and I've just a normal chain nose and round pliers. If you're new to working with the aluminum, especially 12 gauge, it would be good just until you get used to it. When I first started out, I would stick masking tape on the tips just so I wouldn't mar the paint. They also have that, I don't know what it's called, magic dip they can put on there. It's like a white fluid, turns into rubber, which is also good. But as far as that's the regular pliers are good. But as far as hardening the wire, if you're looking to really flatten the wire, I just use a regular ball peen hammer. Of course, this is a mini version, but that's all I need as far as the aluminum. In fact, it's good on all the wires too. And then that's if you want to flatten it and add a little texture. There are also chasing hammers you can use. But if you want to stiffen the wire without flattening it but keeping it round, this is a leather mallet. It's just rolled up leather, and what's nice is the base is soft. I can stick my fingernail in it, and what it is, it absorbs the surface of the wire, but at the same time compresses it so you can still get the hardening of the aluminum. The surface I usually hammer on, if you're doing regular wire, I have one of these blocks. The reason why I can't put it upright is because I have it on a 29-inch table leg. The reason why I do that is because this table I work on is basically a card table with legs, and with this I can set it on the floor and it's perfect level, and it gives me the rigidity I need to hammer the regular wires flat, your copper, your silver, and so forth. But when I'm working with the aluminum, I have these nylon blocks where if I'm just hammering regularly with this one and still want the texture, but it won't get marked up on the metal. And if you want to try and keep the marks off, what we do is just sandwich your wire in between the two and hammer on the top block. And that's basically all I do for hardening of the wire. There's one other way I harden a wire when I'm working with it, and that is I squeeze the wire whenever I'm doing my weave wraps to stiffen it. I have Nylon Jaw Pliers, and these work just as good as where if you don't want to hammer and make the noise, you just give a gentle squeeze, or a firm but gentle squeeze, and it'll harden the wire right up. As far as what type of aluminum wire to buy, I get all my aluminum wire on Amazon, basically because of the price and the availability of it. But one of the things I suggest is when you buy your wire, to get it in rolls like this. Not necessarily, I mean, this is, I forget how many 100 feet, but you want to buy it where it's coiled up like this. You want to stay away from the spools. Like the colored multi-packs I get, they come in smaller bundles, like so. And I'm sure you've seen Heather Boyd wire, where you've seen her working with those. I don't like buying the wire that's on the spool, because when it's on the spool, this is 8 gauge and it's on a spool, and I normally wouldn't buy it on a spool, but it was the only thing available at the time. But when this wire sits for a while out in the air or on your table, when you go to straighten it, it has a bigger risk of the coating cracking and peeling. So that's why I tend to stay away from spools if at all possible. As long as you buy the wire like this, it really doesn't matter what brand you get on Amazon. Just make sure you get the gauge you want. Like I said, I mainly use 12. I don't find any of the smaller gauges useful as far as structural, but I do have 18 gauge aluminum that I find is very useful for making the chaos wraps. Other than that, one last thing I want to show is how I make my spirals. And if you watch Heather Boyd wire, she uses a cone like this, and there is nothing wrong. In fact, I would go as far as to say it's probably one of the better ways to do it. But I'm an old dog that you can't I'm an old dog you can't teach new tricks to. But if you're looking or how to start the spiral from an end, always make sure you give a flush cut, nice flat cut. But when you're starting a spiral, you want to start with your chain nose, because if you try to use the round nose, you have a greater risk of making an indentation and possibly squeezing through the wire. So what I do is I get right on the end and turn the wire around the nose of the plier, which helps, like so, and get yourself started. Then you can come and take your round nose and stick it in there, and you just slowly go into. And when you get enough started, then you want to turn the rest with your fingers. That way you have less to worry about marking and scratching. So basically you understand those few tricks, and like I said, all these are just my opinion and what I use and how I go about it. I hope that helps you with your wire working experience if you want to try aluminum wire. Until the next video, remember, be good to one another. Bye.